Hola, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the Mayakoba Classic Preview and a quick recap on the RSM. And yes, we are heading down to Mexico, Playa del Carmen, where we actually have a pretty strong field that either is looking to have a nice vacation between the holidays or looking to win maybe for their first time. Well, we'll say Tony Finau for a second time and Victor Hovland for a second time. All right. Let's do this. So let's first just a quick recap. I'm not going to go into deep dive analysis of the RSM. I think it was, I don't know, we'll call it a little bizarro world where you had guys that had like a Robert Streb who, I didn't even dive into his analysis. I don't need to. I know that he's been pretty much terrible. Wouldn't play in any field. But again, back to horses for courses. The guy won there back in 2014, I believe, and came out and won. So good for him. We had some, people that was kind of shocking that did make the cut, and then you got some guys that that did well that we picked. But I'll just kind of go over real quick on who I had as my plays, where some things fell apart, and where some things were very positive. So. If you look at Webb Simpson, Russell Henley, Harris English, Corey Connors, they all made the cut. They all did so. Harris English and Corey Connors did better. And if you want to know, the one thing I think that is interesting is who led from the shocking categories for this tournament. So let's just really quick go over that. So for off the tee, Matthew Neesmith with a 3.39 strokes gained off the tee. He led the field. Kyle Stanley actually led the field on approach, gaining 8.15 strokes on the field. You had Scott Piercy around the green, gained 4.17. And that one I think is a little tricky. I don't really use that stat a lot because what it tells me is you probably weren't hitting a lot of greens and you might have chipped some in. So that could be a misleading stat, the around the green one. Putting, Patton Kizzire led the field, gaining 8.23 strokes. And then total tee to green was led by Corey Connors, which is not a shocker. An amazing tee and approach guy, just terrible putter. But yeah, he led at he gained 8.71 strokes on the field. And then total strokes gain out of all the shocking categories, Rory Sabatini at 9.87, which typically, and Streb, I didn't even look at, funny enough, he didn't do anything fantastic. Just overall was positive in every area. So his total shot gain was 5.87. If you look at Rory, he almost doubled it. So, I guess it's just a scoring perspective. All right. And then my Brian Harmon pick, that was kind of shocking, but he did not make the cut. The mid-range is what just blew me out of the water. You had Burns who withdrew before the tournament, and I think I recorded this. I think it was the next day he announced, but that Gooch, McCarthy, Cook, and Wise all missed the cut. That was shocking. Austin Cook, but with recent form and past history here, thought he would do well. And like I said, I don't play a lot of Aaron Wise, but just thought his game was kind of rounding about, and he had some past decent experience. But neither here or there, they did not make the cut. And then my top value plays, Tringali and I believe Joel Dahman made the cut, and I need to just verify that. Well, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure he did make the cut, but he didn't do a whole lot. But Tringali, of course, had a chance to win the tournament. Actually came in, I believe, technically third now, because there was the Kisner and Streb going to a playoff, 2-hole playoff, or Streb won. But yeah, anyways, Cameron Davis, Varner, Knox, all didn't, again, Cameron Davis, I guess, is just on a downtrend, and that's too bad. And then my fades, I'm not super, even though 4 out of the 5 of these guys made the cut, but for their price, maybe Hatton, he had on Showdown had a nice Sunday. But yeah, none of these guys really warranted their price as far as I'm concerned. So I wasn't really down that my fades, I didn't, pick all the guys that were slamming the trunk. And I was picking guys, that had, some high price tags to them. What I was going on with the theory, and it wasn't too far off. There were certain guys like Sungjae M, Fratelli, guys that, just played the Masters, coming off that, and then had to go right into this tournament, a few hours down the road. And, didn't do well. And then, at least like I said, these guys did make the cut, but for their price tag, I don't think they provided the value against it. And then funny enough, if I would just played my hidden gems, I actually, because I thought there was so much value, I actually put 10 hidden gems out there, and I could have put more, but these were the 10 I picked. And of course, Adam Long did well. Gordon and Hahn did not make the cut, but of course, Patty Gazire ended up with over 103 fantasy points. Doug Gim had 95 fantasy points, and I believe Long T30 had 87 fantasy points. So, yeah, I think those were solid. Again, with my next stack of hidden gems, Ryan Armour missed a cut, and Jonathan Bird missed a cut. But as I already mentioned, Kyle Stanley, had a T6 and would have got you 106 fantasy points. Sabatini, 93.5 fantasy points. Again, these guys are all in the 6,000 range. And Stewart, I know he made the cut. Yeah, T50 would have got you 81 points. So again, I wish I would have just played more of these guys. They were in some of my lineups, but were not heavily. They were sprinkled in here or there. And then if you've been tuning in, I've been talking about Camilo Villegas. So if anybody starts jumping on the bandwagon now, I'm going to be a little bitter. But I've been talking about this guy, even after Sanderson Farm. So, back late September, and just was watching that, where he was misfiring, was just the putter was just, even for him, at one time, he was a pretty decent putter. And so that he was having that kind of misses, losing almost, 9 strokes, 6 strokes with the putter, but gaining crazy strokes on the approach, that something could click with the putter and he was going to, do well. And he did. Villegas ended up T6, would have got you 105 fantasy points. And I'm just happy for him. I was pulling for him. I'm sure a lot of people were under conditions, but someone to keep an eye on. I don't know if he's playing this upcoming week. Like I said, I'm recording this on Monday for you guys, just to, something to kind of watch, start getting your mind set on, I know with the holidays it's a little tough, but with the Mayakoba coming up, and I'm not sure how many other guys are going to be putting out information. So I thought I'd, kind of start. So anyways, keep an eye open for Villegas again, coming up here, because he has played at Mayakoba or the OHL. OHL was the sponsor before. Now it is, I think, Uniman or something like that. But same course, so we'll see how he does coming up here if he gets in the field. And then I'll just give you a little background on what I did for this weekend, because I knew that the end of the year was coming and we were going to have some downtime. I actually played a little bit more than I usually do. I did 11 hand builds for the $8 100K, and I actually did those pretty early on. I think maybe might have had those built. I guess I would have had the hidden gems done, but they were built pretty early on, and where I actually had to go back and replace Burns, and I think I actually did some swap outs there. But then those 11 I put into a $5 25K first place. And I took and actually did an auto build with like the 20 core guys I had come out of Fantasy National that I liked. And Villegas was one of those, but somehow it did not get transferred over into the Excel file that then got pumped in. It doesn't matter. But long story short, I was really disappointed that in any of my lineups that I didn't have now. In Showdown, I had some of them, but this was my best lineup in that 25K to first, $5 entry. Again, there was 32 lineups total. I ended up 85th. At one time, I had one that was in second place, but I had Patrick Rogers, who shot 3 under the first day. So this is after the first day, and then shot 3 over. And then I think it like $10 or something like that, like min cashed. Out of my hand built for the larger tournament, I didn't have 1 6 of 6, and I had 1 min cash, where this, I think I had like 10 that cash, but none of them, were spectacular. And then if you look at, good for this guy, he had Villegas. I like the Tringali. I mean, a lot of my picks, except for Hatton, I was really on Kisner, the John and Han. I don't think I had Han in mind, but yeah. So that's enough about the RSM. Let's close that chapter, and let's now focus on the Mayakoba. So a little information on the Mayakoba. So we are going, as I mentioned, to Mexico, to Playa del Carmen. And as I mentioned, they've been playing on this course over 10 plus years. It's a Greg Norman design. There is a lot. It's very tree lined, and it's also has some water lines. So you can definitely get in some major trouble. But it's funny enough when I looked at the information, but again, we don't have a whole ton. It didn't really look like driving accuracy was a huge kind of factor, but I believe, of course, as always, you need to be in the fairway. But this course, I don't really care what I'm getting for information. If you're in the trees or if you're in the water, you're going to be in problems. So I'm going to be looking at guys that can hit the ball well from the tee. It's a shorter course, so guys that are the model be built from the approaches that we need. Also, you've got this paspalum fairways and greens, and there is only about 5 or 6 courses that the PGA Tour plays that has this type of surface. And if you want to know a little bit about paspalum, it is a hybrid of Bermuda. It's just a lot easier to maintain because of the ocean saltwater. So you'll see like at Corrales, at Port Royale, or any course that's kind of right on. I think even where they just played at RSM, they had a kind of a hybrid paspalum. I believe in the fairways and around the greens. Again, just easier to keep up. But what the short of it is, what I've heard and from the players, and I actually have a quick video about Rory McIlroy when he won, I believe it was 2012 PGA Championship at oh boy, now I'm blanking. He'll mention it at Waikula or Wakia. It doesn't matter. It was a course I believe in Hawaii. And long story short, what he thought, and I think it's interesting about the paspalum, but it literally makes it like when you're at a driving range and you've got the perfect lie every time, I guess the way that grass is. I don't think I've ever played on it. I have played in Hawaii, but I think it was more of a thick Bermuda. But anyways, long story short, it just keeps the ball up, and you typically always have a perfect lie. That's what I was trying to get to out of all that. Of course, the tournament is not this week. It is next week, December 3rd, Thursday it starts. If you kind of go back and look at, past scores, Brendan Todd won last year, which was his second win on the season. He shot, I believe it was 20 under, but typically 19 to 22 is your winning score. So you're going to need to go low. You got Matt Kuchar, who won it in 2019, excuse me, who also, he had a hot run there in the beginning of the year. And Patty Kazire, who we were talking a little bit about, he won in 2018, and then Pat Perez in 2017. And kind of just doing a quick analysis of looking at these guys who've won in the top kind of 10. I wasn't finding anything that was, oh, this is a, kind of plotters course, or this is a bombers course. I think it's guys that, can get hot with a putter, good approach, don't have to be long off tee, you just need to be accurate. We'll leverage, I think, courses like Harbortown, not from the grass type, but as in what you need to do, as in, I think Harbortown, it just reminds me of for RBC Heritage. And then, of course, Port Royale, where they play Corrales. You got Bermuda that just plays. So we can look at all that to kind of start figuring out who's been playing well on these kind of surfaces and those types of courses. Again, this course, not as many holes are right on the water. Now, there is holes on the water, but it kind of tracks back into the tree. So what I could see, the wind shouldn't bother too much. And then the player field has been less than 156. It's been like 130-ish to 140-ish. And then coverage, we'll get the Golf Channel. And as far as I know, PGA Live hopefully will be there, but they've also not shown up when they have to travel to these courses that are not on the lower 48. So I'm not sure about the PGA Live. Actually, if I had to guess, they're probably not going to be. We're probably going to be like what we had at Punta Cana, Corrales, and also Bermuda, where we're just going to have to rely on the Golf Channel. And I highly doubt it's going to be televised. Maybe because the field we'll talk about in a second is a little better than expected. All right, and then let's just listen to just real quick about what Rory thought about paspalum. And if Rory somehow shows up in the field, he'll be live because he really likes the surface.
To see that 8-shot win again with your dad behind the green was amazing. Some of the greatest golf I've ever seen.
I love the golf course. The one thing I loved about Mayakoba was the grass, the paspalum. At the Bears Club, where a few of us practice in Jupiter, the practice range and the par 3 course is all paspalum. So I was very familiar with the grass and with the turf, and I thought that was an advantage.
To see that
Sorry about that. So yeah, it was Wakia. Sorry, was blanking here. So let's look at some past. I thought it was kind of interesting. Just a little tidbit that The guys down at Jupiter, what he was mentioning was a par 3 course. There's all past Palom. And so he got to practice on that and got familiar with it. And I think that is an advantage. So we will be looking at people that have done well on this surface. I think that's going to be a help. There was nothing super to look at the gleam out of the past course conditions. What I did notice I thought was interesting was the wind is pretty calm and moderate here. You can see it must have picked up a little bit here last year because the fairways were a little hard to hit and the greens firmed up. But the putting, I always believe if green speed is not super fast, that's something to look at, because guys that play, let's say, bent, do very well on bent, might struggle here and might be leaving a lot of putts short. But guys that do well on Bermuda, we'll look at, and Rory is actually a great putter on Bermuda. It's his strongest surface by far. So that's something else that we'll look at. Do they putt well on Bermuda? That's like I said, it's a hybrid of Paspalum. And then, and that, long as the winds stay down, we should be fine with some good scoring. This is looking at this course, top past 10 finishers over like a length of period of time. Nothing super crazy here that sticks out. Like I said, there's 3 par 5s. Of course, you're going to get your scores on there. Green and reg, yep, you got to have that. Sand saves I thought was interesting. That'll be put in my model because it does show up there is a ton of sand here. This was interesting, and this goes back to my driving accuracy, that average fairways gained by the top, by the winners and top 10s. You can see here, it was important, but for the winners, past history of the winners here, it wasn't as important. And it just kind of shocks me. Who knows how that worked out, where maybe the guys that were, just missing in the first cut, or, just hit some amazing sand shots. And also something popped up with scrambling that is pretty key here. So that would be in the model. And then 3-putt avoidance, as I mentioned, I don't think it'd be a great putter here. There wasn't a ton of 3-putts on this course. So, nothing we have to worry about. It's not going to be a putting contest is how I see it. And then things, how to win. Driving accuracy does show up a little bit compared to the average tour event. Green and reg, it's going to be important. Scrambling, as I kind of mentioned, and then the whole composition. You got some really short par 3s. There's one, I think, 119, 120 yards that is a birdie opportunity. I noticed a lot of birdies, and I'll bring that up. And then scoring distribution, just kind of shows you. You got to make your pars, limit the mistakes, and make your birdies. And not a ton of eagles on this course, even though there is some par 5s that are gettable. But and this is the holes to attack. This is a little confusing because the front 9, they actually kind of rerouted this course. I don't know. What I got out of it was they played the 18 holes a certain way in the beginning of this kind of, first few times at this course. And then for whatever reason, thought it made sense to kind of, reroute some ways and some holes. So that's why you're going to see some duplication on the front 9. And so, I think I mentioned that 116 par 3 showed up pretty high on the birdies. Of course, the par 5 stick out. Trying to see, there's another short par. Well, I think that's the same thing. So that's the duplication I was talking about. But I'd say there's about 7 holes that are very gettable. Of course, the par 5s, as I mentioned, in that par 3. And then for bogeys, you're looking at about 4 or 5 holes that can cause some issues for the guys in the past. So I don't think there's anything significant there. Just that we will be looking at the par 3s pretty closely and par 5 scoring. And then some players. So let's talk a little bit about who's in the field that has been announced. Again, the final announced commitments have to be this Friday from these guys. So we don't have a field out, but I do have some guys that have already, verbally committed. Dustin Johnson. So that's interesting that he's coming here. He's never played in the OHL or the Mayakoba before. He's actually never played on Paspalum that I could find. So every, tournament that's ever went outside that would play on this surface, he's never played. But then again, I believe, if I remember off the top of my head, he is a Florida native, so maybe he has done some practice on the surface. You also got Justin Thomas, who played back, I think it was 2014. Didn't do it extremely well, but again, this is back 2013, 2014. He played once at the Mayakoba. But you can see Tony Finau's in the field, Abraham Answer, Victor Hovland, who has no background with OHL. I'm not sure about Paspalum because I believe what he won the Barracuda. I have to check into that. And then Jason Kokrak. So 3 of these guys have had a lot of experience, and so I did pull and we did a little analysis. So Tony, Abraham, and Jason Kokrak, and just some quick things to look at. So what you're seeing over here to the far right is since 2000, well, the latest stats. Any time they played on a course that had Paspalum, it pulled it up, and I was able to at least, again, we don't have shot tracker, and we're not going to have shot tracker. They're not going to travel there, but you still get a shot gain total. And so you can kind of see, you know, how Tony's done in the past. And this was, I pulled up, he had a T16 and a T7th. So the T16 would have been, I believe, this one here at OHL, and the T7th might have been down here in 2014. But these were just specifically for OHL or the Mayakoba. So some short of it is some good, you know, past history. If I look at the summation, a lot more green than red. Looks like he had a really bad day here. But other than that, and then just this is looking at his shot gain stats for just this season. It's just the current, you know, 2021 season, we'll say, 12 rounds. And I would say, I guess, shot gain total, he, you know, is 9th against the whole PGA field, 10th tee to green. As we know with Tony, the putter around the green, not too bad, but putting is just where it always kind of hurts. So Jason Kokrak, he's actually got quite a bit of past history here and some solid history, actually. If you look, and again, this is just OHL, and this is going up. I believe this is, they say 2017 here, but it's actually 2018. Not sure why it's off by a year, but I noticed that when I was pulling these together. But he has all top 20s until he struggled a little bit, as you can see right here. Sorry. Looks like he had the 3rd round struggled, and hence probably got him to the T45. But I was trying to see the scores. Nothing crazy low. I did see some guys with 61s and 62s. There is going to be a 61 or 62 shot. So, you know, trying to figure out who that guy is going to be. We all know Jason, you know, had the win not too long ago here at in Vegas. Now I'm blanking if it was the CJ Cup or the Zozo. I think it was the Zozo at Sherwood. But anyways, you know, and this is, again, just looking at recent form, last 15 measured. Tee to green's been a little but good putter, and off the tee, of course, he's gaining. And then Abraham Answer, of course, going to, we won't say his homeland, but is very comfortable with Mexico. Lives in Texas now, but, you know, of course, I think was born originally in Mexico. Hence why he gets to play for the international team in the President's Cup. And he's had some really good success here. 2 top 10 or under top 10s, T8 to T9. These are all OHL up to last year. And when you see, like I said, Corrales, the Puerto Rico, which actually I believe that is what Finau won his one tournament, was the Puerto Rico Open. What shows out on his, you know, last 16 measure rounds, kind of, I mean, he had a nice showing, of course, at the Masters. So I think it'll be very live and someone that we'll have to look at. And that's it. That's kind of my quick first sneak peek into the Mayakoba. I hope some of this at least gets you kind of excited for this tournament. Like I said, we're going to have a strong field. I will be doing my, you know, my top plays and fades. Sometime it'll probably be out as soon as we kind of get the field out. I can start, you know, doing deep analysis. I'm guessing it'll be maybe next Monday after the holidays, but I wanted to get this out early for you guys. So everyone have a very happy Thanksgiving, and spend some time, be safe around the family, and all the best. I look forward to a fun Mayakoba tournament. Take care.